Hello, I'm Eddie Lofthouse, founder of Wavelength Drinks and also Harbour Brewing Company. I started the brewery 12 years ago and sort of at the beginning of lockdown realised, like many people did, I was probably drinking a bit too much. And therefore we started using the skills we had to make some drinks that we enjoy to drink, and we created the delicious Ruby aperitif. And from there, it's sort of the last 3 years have seen us to develop the liquid further as we move forward. So Wavelength, as a brand, we're sort of in the same way as the brewery. We don't take ourselves too seriously. What we do is a really enjoyable job. We make liquids that we're really proud of, and we try and have fun along the way. So we're not anti-alcohol as a brand. We, as I say, I've also got a brewery, so it would be slightly wrong of me to be anti-alcohol. But what we do as a brand is we do like to sort of moderate. So where previously might have gone back on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night and had a can of beer or a gin and tonic, now go back and sort of enjoy a Ruby Spritz or a non-alc Negroni. And because of that, as a brand, we sort of see ourselves slightly differently from what is a fairly earnest category, where people are very worthy, where we're just having fun and making drinks that people enjoy. We previously called High Point, because we were sort of trying to make that high point of your day, which is often that moment when you switch off at the end of the day. We're looking to launch in the US next year. There was already a brand called High Point over there, so we searched for about 8 weeks on trying to come up with a name that we were all sort of had a shared vision around, and we came up with Wavelength. And part of Wavelength is are we all on the same wavelength, whether we're talking about liquids or lifestyle, whatever it is. And so Wavelength really just seemed to fit with that sort of ethos, as well as we're based by the beach and we all surf, so it sort of had the right sort of vibe and really works for us. The fermentorium, we got 10,000 square feet where we like to play, basically. So as I said, I've got a brewery, and when we started that 12 years ago, it sort of, as you grow, and the fun element of it goes away a little bit. So we built a brewery, really, fermentorium, where we didn't have the same constraints, we didn't have the same limitations on what we could brew, when we could brew, what we could brew with. And as we started to develop away from just making beer and into non-alc spirits, kombuchas, wild beers, anything that would sort of allowed us to mix ferment kefirs, we started to play, and we're really lucky. The brewery's been fairly successful, so we got some amazing equipment where we can capture wild yeast. We've got vacuum distillation kits, we've got many oak barrels, foeders, amphora, stainless steel vats, a cool ship. So it just allows us to sort of take all the constraints around fermenting stuff, which is the passion of why people generally get into beer and other liquid production, is because they really enjoy it. So it's just a space, and that's how we sort of try and go about life in the fermentorium, where you aren't playing to the same rules as a sort of mainstream commercial brewery. And as we sort of grow Wavelength and the Ruby drink, we'll probably move that into more of a production facility and continue to develop our skills and hone our wares within the fermentorium. When you're pushing boundaries, you often, make mistakes is definitely the right word. We've exploded amphora. We fermented about 238 different things to come up with the Ruby drink in the first place, from pine cones, devil's claw, teas, waters, milks, dairy products, through to grapes. We were taking known processes and trying to reinvent them in different ways, and that allowed us to sort of think outside the box. We're really lucky because we've got sort of people like me, who I would say are not a scientist. We're definitely sort of more in the arty sort of way of looking at fermentation, but then we've also equally got biochemists who work for us. So we play, they understand, they make processes from that and allow us to get repeatability. So we sort of push the boundaries, and they work out what on earth we've just done. Non-alc gets criticised quite a lot for being less than propositions, and that's why we didn't come into sort of to try and mimic a product. This isn't a non-alc, I'm saying Campari because it's the same colour. It's not trying to be a non-alc camp or a non-alc aperol or a non-alc anything else. It is trying to be ruby, and because of that, we aren't really compared to anything else. We are looking to set a new category up, which is fermented adult beverages that play in a sort of spirit aperitif moment. Next, Wavelength, we're taking our liquids around the country and over to the States this coming year. We already work with some amazing restaurant groups from Hawksmoor, Gordon Ramsay, Ottolenghi, right through to pub groups like St Austell Brewery down here. We'd like to obviously expand our sort of liquids and get them in the hands of more people, as well as we see that our liquids fit really well with the US, and where we've done some trials over there, especially on the West Coast, where there's very much a health culture going on, that our liquids just fit beautifully. So we're looking to launch in the US early next year, and on top of that, we'll be playing around with other liquids, because that's sort of what we do.